doing so. So yeah, super excited to see how we can integrate all the pieces and start getting the village in a box used in the real world. I'll pass it to Joachim.
Hey, thank you, Sam. Wild week at wait, it's not over yet. Here at Haifa. Probably also because of the full moon thing that we just went through. It still has some ripples everywhere. It's crazy. But yeah, I second what Reiki said. I love to continue our conversation that we already had with the UI, UX, and sort of the expanded view we started to look at last time when we looked at the booking system and what else could be included in that. And then some great conversations with Paolo as well to map out how that can look like in a wider context. So looking forward to this. Handing it over to Martin.
Thank you, Joachim. Well, happy to be here. I had missed the first 2 calls, but I'm really excited to learn more what's going on. I'm more coming a bit more from the operational side, let's say from villages or kind of resort concepts and relating to regenerative tourism. So I'm just kind of trying to find out in what way I could be of service, whether I could be a bit of a kind of an interface from tech to the operational leads. So I think that's a bit the question I'm coming in with. And I wasn't really sure if the meeting is going to go for 90 minutes because we have to hop out on our DoDev call at 4 p.m. in 1 hour. So
would be 1 hour.
1 hour, perfect, great. I'll pass it on to Paolo. Thanks.
Thank you. So here I've been elaborating a little bit more on the fund with some ideas of how different fund opportunities could combine. And that's one of the things that I could eventually bring if you see that this is worth navigating today. And delighted to be here. I feel a lot of energy around villages and villages possibilities popping up everywhere in Portugal. And that's a thing that we can also discuss then later to see how these several village possibilities weave in. And I can pass it to Arturo.
Hi there. For me, this week I've been mostly involved in Cardano, so I'm learning how to build the smart contracts and checking out how it's going the fund because I would like to build a web page or something that we can start showing to the world, and I would like to coordinate. So yeah, for me, my focus will be around that. I pass it to Dawn.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn from LA. I'm still very new to this and I'm still learning. So I really want to most of all learn from all of you. And I'm particularly interested in the village of in the box concept and how I can contribute to the design of those. So.
And she passed it to Arturo.
Sorry, Arturo passed it to me. I think Vishal.
Oh, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, Arturo passed it to me. Thank you.
Hello, so this is Vishal here in Tulum, Mexico. And yeah, there's a lot going on with villages these days and regenerative living. So there have been 3 regenerative living summits happened here just in the past week alone. I've ended up presenting at 2 of them. People really like the idea that we're doing something with villages. So already we have like at least 2 villages onboarded from those, well, not onboarded, but really keen to utilize seeds from that event alone. And I'm just trying to figure out if this village in a box model can facilitate everybody's needs. And so that's my thing right now. We have like various different people wanting to join, but they all want something a little different. So I'm just trying to normalize their needs and make sure that everybody's needs are taken care of. I'll pass it on back to Reiki, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit late, so I guess I'm not sure what the question is, but maybe what has happened in the last week. Yeah, we are pretty focused here in Portugal the Dream Factory on like creating a legal structure. And I spent a lot of time this week on that. And it's kind of like we talked with Sam, it's like always like feels like we're going on a spiral downwards when it comes to, again, lawyers and all the obstacles that we have. And then we get new ideas of like more progressive and like blockchain and NFT, and we always feel like, yeah, that's the way. So yes, hopefully we get to do something to figure out the legal structure first, and then down the road, a bit with Vishal here, I think we need to research a little bit more what are the needs of villages and like have a more thorough overview of like what the village in the box should be like, so we can satisfy more, like so we can be normalized and you can still plug and pick whatever you need, but that means that it has to cover a big area. And
Sasha, I don't see you went.
Yes, I'm here. The last week I've been working on the UI, UX and user flows and trying to put some wireframes together, trying to style it a bit to see how it's gonna look, possibly share them on Discord. So we'll be happy to discuss and, like Ganya said, to add more ideas and think thoroughly of what villages need so we can reflect it better. I'll pass it on to, I'm not sure who hasn't spoken.
Mateo just joined.
Mateo. All right, Mateo. There you go.
Thanks, Alexandra. Can you refresh what is the check-in question? It looks like there is one, but
Just anything you have to share with the group, any agenda items you might want to add.
okay. So I just had a look at the recording of the last call, and I was amused by the work, the explanation of everything. Like, finally, actually, I have also more clarity myself of how the DHO works, and yeah, I'm looking forward to play with it. And I was wondering if you could actually share the file that you were using, the spreadsheet, somewhere in the group, because I didn't find it.
Sure. I think we have one person left. Augusto, did you go?
No, I haven't. But anyways, I just wanted to, I'm part of the Joachim's team that is building on the Do. And I'm from Mexico, Cancun. And I just love to learn more about all the cool stuff that you guys are doing to hopefully build useful stuff. And that's it. It's great meeting everyone.
Awesome. Well, for the agenda that I have then, Sasha, if you want to go over the wireframes that you had, I'd love for you to share those with the group and we can get some feedback from everyone.
Oh, sure. Let me just open Figma.
Also, one of the last recordings, I did share it in the group. We went over a pretty in-depth conversation, about 45 minutes or something, about the onboarding, and I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. So if anyone wants to get deep into some of the thoughts that we were having there, I think it's definitely worth a watch. I would love feedback.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna share now. I'm ready. All right, do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so we had a conversation last week about the booking system, and we discussed how the booking system basically can make the process more meaningful and straight away take the user and make them think of what they can contribute to the village and how that can be done. So there are a few entry points to the booking system, and you're gonna start with choosing your date, but you can come from the tasks, you can come from events, or you can come from the booking page itself. Once you pick the dates on the calendar, you're gonna be, so that's the way I thought about it. because we try to incentivize thinking about the purpose of the booking, what you're going to be doing there, and to incentivize building relationships and even bootstrapping the small economy that the village can have. So you can, for example, while at your stay, you can pick up a task that needs to be done and contribute in that way. You can even offer to do something for the village during your stay. And those two things possibly can, for example, reduce your rent, and immediately it's going to be placed in the circle with people, and immediately you're going to be meeting someone instead of going to the village without knowing anybody. So that's why that screen could be possibly offered before you choose your room, before you finalize your accommodation. You can be advised to look at what's going on in the village, what events are there, what people are going to be staying, what tasks need to be done, and possibly make an offer. Then you're going to book your room, then you're going to stay, and at the end, you can provide feedback of what your stay was like. That's going to be based on like, wish, learn. That's what OASA is doing, and I took it from there, and we discussed it in the call as well. And you can create some, Joachim was proposing during the last call that it can be even be a little story about how it was going. So you can create a little video, you can write a story, you can take some photos, and then eventually you can have a pending membership because you decided to stay with the village that needs to be approved, or you decide you're not going to be joining and going to be looking for a different place. One piece I didn't talk about was a booking body that we discussed during our last call. I don't think we agreed whether that person is going to be suggested randomly or if that person is going to be chosen more carefully. But so far, I just put it in here as an idea. So, because Raike was bringing up that it would be very useful to have support during the process, that the person would not be feel as lost. So in that screen that pops up right after you choose dates, you can also mention that there will be a booking body that will be helping you through the process, and you can reach out with questions. So that's the possible styling that I did for this screen. You're going to be offered to make an offer here. You can pick up tasks, and you can view more of the tasks that possibly can take you to the tasks page. Same with the events and who'll be around. Everything will be expandable, and you can learn more about each piece. And then here's the booking body suggestion here that you can email that person, because, for example, could be a little confusing about what's going on and what you're asked to do. So you can reach out for help immediately. Even without finalizing, let's say, your booking, you can talk to that person and ask some questions. So there are more wireframes here that I didn't style, but they're just there to continue working on and thinking about. This is the calendar. That's the book your purpose dashboard, and that's the simplest one, book your room dashboard. I didn't work on it yet much, it's just here as a next screen to think about. Yeah, I think this is it, and I would really like your feedback, and I would really like to think together on during our next call on UI UX, what we can add to this and how we can improve this.
I was thinking in the first, if this model that is the purpose dashboard, it could be launched independently of the booking. I mean, before you select a date, for example, if you want to contribute to builds wherever, instead you go to see when it's planned to be done there, and then you book after you know exactly which dates you can be participating.
Yeah, we talked about that during the call. That I don't think we decided very much, but Sam was suggesting to start with dates as a starting point. But yeah, I think we can discuss that.
I think it looks great. I think I wouldn't necessarily put all of this in a single page because it's a bit confusing. Like make an alpha, pick up a task, like all of those things, it's a bit much. I think it could be just from 3 different pages. So like what you have below, For example, if you go to the booking page, you start with a calendar. But if you start from the event page, you could just have a suggestion, oh, create a booking for those dates. So then you just have a one-click button that sets the dates, and then you go directly to the next step of the booking. Or if you are on the task page, it's the same thing. It can have like some date or something.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. But
I think what she's showing, it's like when you go directly to the calendar, like so
Mhm.
you go directly to the calendar.
As a second step, you mean?
This is the
okay,
second
okay.
step. Then you see,
Yes.
because you're not coming from task, you're not coming from so it's like kind of shows you like what's going on there.
Yeah, that's why I called it a dashboard, a book your purpose dashboard, because it kind of is a bird's eye view of what's going on during the dates that you have picked, so that you are given an immediate overview of what's going on, and then you can go deeper into what you need to be doing. And then once you're done with that, you can click next, and then you can be taken to book your room. Or during this process, because there is a person suggested to talk to about all these things. So perhaps you can reach out to that person and discuss that. But yes, it's an overview of what's going on.
Yeah. I think maybe I would like to just see it in more like a formal version or something, like kind of like when you book an Airbnb, it's like all the details that you have to give for your booking, and then maybe those could be like optional. So yeah, but otherwise I think it's good.
Yeah, thank you, Sasha. I mean, to me, this is a dramatic change from the first iteration here. And this has nothing to do with the regular booking system anymore. So kudos for this. I mean, the rest really is sort of minor details from here on. Just the idea to put this purpose page or purpose step conceptually, right, into this whole process is fantastic. I really love that new flow that you created there. That's really unique. I mean, I haven't seen this anywhere else. And what's also interesting is you're sort of blurring the line between the physical and the digital, right? So physical, like this page already, but who's there? I mean, who's physically on the ground? Who's helping out from the outside, right? Who can pick up a task that's physically building something on the ground, right? Versus virtually inviting other members to give us some feedback on recipes, blueprints to get stuff going in the village. This concept is in itself so valuable, right? That you can blur the line here with this kind of interface, right? So it's not just, booking a room, going there, purpose tourist, that's it, right? This is much, much richer, right? So it gives you all the possibilities you have in the spaces that you create. So I love it. Thank you for that extra work you put into this.
Thank you, Joachim. Thank you so much. I tried to materialize all the ideas that we talked about during our last call. I rewatched it and it was really helpful to just go through it again and really think through it again very well.
Great.
I just want to add on what Joaquin was saying, because from a design point of view, this is very elegant and inviting. Right? So I really like the color combinations and the smoothness. And eventually, if this is too many elements, maybe how can we give an highlight to the central element where we are now versus the others could probably help. And on this thing of booking for purpose, I really love the idea. And I was wondering, although we are focusing on a particular journey, and that makes totally sense, so I want to defocus from that journey. But there are two things that I notice in intentional villages. One is that frequently people are interested in booking because they want to go on a learning journey. And that could be there, right, somehow. I think that involving in tasks and in concrete things is one thing, but how about taking a journey for the village, right? So in being invited in with this quality of navigating through what is going on, that could be a thing. And the other thing that eventually could make sense is that we are thinking on the journey of a visitor, which is great. Does it make sense to combine with the journey of a neighbor? And I will leave it there. So how can we also bring the quality of inviting the neighbors, inviting the surrounding, inviting the more broader community where the village lives, and if we should think on these two perspectives eventually. And
Okay. Thank you, Paula. That's very interesting.
I would like to add something which quite excites me from the operational point of view, which is a pick up a task, which is something in previous projects we always try to kind of implement with volunteer management. And I was wondering if this would also be possible to then kind of link to, let's say, the internal property management system, where, let's say, department heads can, compile a list of tasks that they want to be done at a certain time, feed it into the system, and then when the actual visitor has picked a task, this goes back into, let's say, a kind of departmental schedule or roster they can actually plan with the labor coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly the idea. The task system, we kind of designed it with like milestones and with everything that needs to get built for the village. And so it can be a community task. So kind of like in due terms, I guess it would be a quest. And a quest can either be for the whole community, so for the whole village. So maybe it's like building a dry toilet or fixing a shower or painting a wall, whatever. And then you can have personal tasks. And the idea here is to showcase, like we need to build some dry toilet, so you can pick up the task, and when you add it to your bookings, that means that maybe you're not even going to pay for your stay if you end up doing a task.
Yeah, we could potentially have different kind of rewards, and you could potentially choose for that. So maybe I want maybe I get some seeds, or maybe I get some reduction in the rent and so on.
So you could also choose how much of your time you want to contribute to a certain task then.
Exactly. We also thought of that.
Cool.
Say like, okay, it's 5 hours, but you can give your 2 hours, and then somebody else can join the same task and can like pick up the remaining of the time. And
so it just gives you kind of a discount at the checkout and the price, basically.
Yeah. And you can also organize as a group. You can say, oh, like me and my team, we know how to build dry toilets. Let's all go build it, and we can share as a proceeds.
Cool.
I mean, this is also, Martin, to your point, I think this is also where the value of a decentralized network comes into play, right? So you apply that to a village, and what you see is, there's a hub here for education. There's a hub here for health and wellness of villagers, right? There's a hub here for, building some, more infrastructure for the village, right? And each one really represents, the work they do, and they're connected, right? So there's flows between them. There's knowledge flows, value flows, financial flows. And as Sam said, we can sort of create these quests from any of these hubs here, invite people over to start working on some things. But for me, it's important to say there are certain areas of responsibility, certain domains in a village where people take accountability for, right? So if you have a question about that, you can go to that hub and find out what's going on. And that can really be fractalized, right? So it can be on a village, scale, and then you can go up to a bioregional scale where you have larger hubs, right, that are concerned about energy supply and consumption in villages across all of the villages within the bioregion, right? So there are different, I think, ways to embed, as you said, Martin, it's a great idea, to embed other groups that are working with villages, and to invite people, right, to participate. Maybe it's just a participation on a decision-making layer, right? What kind of important decisions do you want to make for the village? Expose those to everyone who's involved. And at a later stage, it's more direct involvement into actual building stuff and co-creating stuff there on the ground. I think there's infinite possibilities once you expand that lens here, right?
Great. I think this is amazing. How do we want to proceed from here? Do we want to maybe just like finish with a booking thing? Maybe we write down the last ideas, and then we can maybe do one more pass on the design, and then start implementing that directly into the tech stack. And then we can start looking at the next user journey. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Cool. So maybe we should look at what happens after book your purpose. Then the booking is completed, I guess, right? Pretty much.
Then you get
so it's so this is what I think we should talk about more and think through more what happens when you click on pick up a task. What happens there? You take into the tasks page and you choose a task, and then it gets added to your booking, like things get added to a card, like how to express that information that it got added. Is there approval process for you to pick up a task? How do we know that you can do the task? And the same with make an offer. It's an application, right? So it needs to go somewhere. Somebody needs to look at it. Is it all together? Does it become an application that somebody needs to review? I know, Sam, you talked about that you don't need approval for membership. You don't need approval to stay, but maybe you do need to look over what they want to offer, if they do want to offer. If they don't want to offer, then yes, I guess it's more straightforward.
I do remember that we had a conversation that if we don't have enough space in the village, we're gonna look at people that have something interesting to offer for that time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
So from this,
I was just gonna suggest that like maybe you scale tasks. Like so going back to Martin's point about what it looks like on the back end, like how are the operations managing the task requests as they come in? It would seem to make sense if people could, you know, have a preference, because you may have some tasks that are really popular and you can't actually operationalize it. There's like too many people who are volunteering for it. And then others where there's nobody. So I think having somebody orchestrated at the other end and maybe have people, you know, suggest their preferences. Like, I'd love to be, this is my first choice, but here's my second or my third.
Okay.
So the ways that it's currently set up, because we already have a functional version of this. I mean, very basic, but the idea is that whoever creates the task is the one that manages the task. So if you create a task to build a sauna, then people apply to your task, kind of like you would apply for a job or whatever, and then you select the applicant that gets your task. So I think each would have a separate person on the other side potentially approving. So I think you're not really adding it to your booking like a cart. You're more just applying on the spot. So you're submitting your booking, you're submitting your task, you're submitting each thing, and then the booking is probably gonna get managed by the community manager. The task is gonna get managed by whoever created the task, and so on and so on. So each of these offers or whatever can be processed by someone different.
And it would not really discount your rent on the spot, because it doesn't mean that you're gonna do your task if you just apply. So it has to be like verified at the end of the due day or something by the person that submitted the task. Say, okay, it's done. You can reward now, like just go for the reward. But I don't know exactly how it's gonna. How can that be translated? It's later into the rewards. I guess you would just get into your account like something like on your personal dashboard. Oh, now you have this kind of credits or.
Exactly. I guess as part of the booking process, we could just show like, okay, like this is what you're spending, this is what you're earning, but it wouldn't really be linked, I think, because everything would flow into your personal credits in the system. But it might even be different currencies. Like maybe you're booking in seeds, but maybe you're receiving like value in time as a reward for your task. So. Yeah,
I love that. We try to do something like this at Haifa. It's kind of reversing the booking process, right? Usually what you expect, you pay and then you stay, right? Here's like you stay, and then depending on all the tasks that you completed there, then you pay at the end, right? It's kind of the running tab here, and at the end you see what you've done and what you've completed, and then you sort of you either decide to check out, okay, then that's the remaining tokens you owe, or you decide to stay and move on to the next task. I'm saying we did a similar thing with Haifa with sort of the hiring process, the onboarding process. Usually, the organization hires a person, does all the checking up front, CVs and background checks and all this stuff, and then lets the person into the door, right, of the organization. We're kind of reversing this and say, we really don't know about that person. We don't know the capacities. We don't know the skill sets. We haven't heard about that person before. Let him in the door, right? Give him an opportunity to run a trial, to do a quest, to take some tasks. And then at the end, we will see how it goes, right? And that's really when you get into sort of the trust and relationship building layer. You just say, yes, this works out, this resonates, this person is a great fit for the organization, right? So that happens sort of in the opposite way that you would usually expect a person, that's hired and then really stays from that point on with the organization. So here's same thing. I love that concept. If you can bring that into this system.
Let me add one other thing. So eventually on the payback, right, on the compensation for the tasks, it could be related with the task. Like I see there, plant strawberries. So perhaps you get some fruit for your breakfast or something in that kind. I think this creates an involvement. And then we can really simplify in terms of what is the spectrum of you acting, right? So you could be learning, you could be doing, but as a beginner, or you could be very proficient on that. You could then choose, but everything is rewarded, kind of, right? Because even if you are learning the task, that I think this is useful and part of building the community. So you can do it very simple, and then this is ratified by the task owner, so that the overall process gets very lean and simple. And then this is validated, and depending on this kind of levels, then the task owner can contribute to define what the reward is. And it can be these multiple forms of capital, including, okay, if you are helping doing the bread every morning, then probably you get breakfast, right? So this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it really makes sense to make a differentiation between monetary and non-monetary compensation, because I mean, you also have to kind of manage your cash flow in a way in your operation. And if everybody just comes in and does tasks, then, kind of pays less for it in the end. I mean, you have a cash flow problem. So, and very often people who come in as a volunteer, I mean, they're just very eager to contribute, but very often, or well, sometimes the contribution is not super valuable because they kind of, come in newly, they have to kind of, be taught and explained. And so maybe you rather want to compensate them with actual, a different service or a token or something in a different way, which is not monetary.
Yeah, that's a good point, Martin. And I would like to emphasize that this is not voluntary work here. This is all sort of value flow based, right? So as soon as you step into the system, there's some kind of exchange happening, right? If you pick on a task, you create value for some parts of the village, right? And that can be expressed in some kind of a token, right? You either stake something in here, right? And then in return, you get some financial flow, or you put in some other value. But it's quantified, that's really important. This is not like voluntary work where I show up and see what happens and then I leave again. This is much more, it includes sort of the component that communities would usually leave out, right, or not talk about, which is compensation for any of the tasks you're taking on, right? That goes both directions, right? Either if you pay for things to get the service, or if you work and receive rewards for that service, right? But there's an exchange of value here, and that's really the difference here. For everything that you do inside the system, once you step into this, there's this flow happening, right? Otherwise, this would be just another community, and it wouldn't be very fun.
Maybe just to give an example of the kind of tasks that we're setting up. I mean, basically, we took the total budget for the Dream Factory, which is like 2.something million, and then we break it down in milestones, and then we say for each phase, we need to do X, Y, Z. If we hire people, this is how much it's going to cost, and this is how many tokens we're allocating to that task. So it actually has a real value. So if you build a dry toilet, you take X percentage of the total cost of the construction, basically. And yeah. Cool. Should we maybe take a look at the next user journey? I feel like we have, like a ton of great stuff in the booking already.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll stop sharing then.
I can chat. I'm just on the document here. So I think we covered a lot of things in the booking. I think maybe what makes sense is to just continue those UX wireframes and then maybe next week we can take it offline with whoever wants to contribute to those designs. Don't know if anyone else wants to, and then maybe we can just work on the actual wireframes and then just start implementing these things.
I think the task would be really interesting to work on next.
Yeah, should we talk about tasks?
So connected somehow.
Yeah, I totally agree because the connection is there. So we'll need to jump to tasks from the Book Your Purpose dashboard anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just recap what's here. So quest or tasks, I think maybe quest, well, I mean, that's a do name, maybe it's a better name. Community proposals that benefit the whole community, and personal proposals that benefit a single member within the village. Both are great at creating internal value flows and at getting the members more engaged with each other. So both are great, and I think it's. I mean, we could decide if we want to just mix them up and show both types during the booking, like we had now, or if we want to only show the community ones. But so contributor quest from guests, more equitable work trades. Standard quest, make a 2-3 minute day in a life video. Okay, I'm not.
I think governance is as well. I mean, the quest, if it needs some kind of budget or economic to spend some money, it will have to be approved by the governance system, no? So we are going.
Yeah. So that's, I think, like the responsibility of the person who puts out the tasks. So if you are like, let's say, community manager for a time being, then you also make a proposal for budget, which is like governance related. But you can also have up, individual proposal, individual tasks, and so.
Oh, that's interesting. How our individual tasks are going to be rewarded? I think, did we talk about this? Are they going to be?
It's a similar process, because if I am a citizen in this village and I have something some work to do, then I can list out my quest, my proposal, and then I can decide what will be the rewards. I can just as well give some monetary rewards that I prefer to give out to somebody from the village, or other kind of compensation.
And also on the compensations, we also talked about having something like a time bank, which I think is really nice. That it's not always like money and like quantifiable things, but just time. Like I spent X amount of hours, and so then I mean, especially for kind of a basic task or things that don't require like a ton of skills, I think it kind of makes sense to have a time bank. Okay, but quest
to exchange between the members. So you spend 2 hours in the village and you can get some member to work in something that you need, like design.
Exactly.
I mean, this.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
But maybe someone wants to present what you have in the Haifa system for the quest, because I think your system is a lot more evolved, and maybe we could take that as base. I guess I can go to Haifa and
Joachim is here, so you might want to show that off.
I have a question about the DHO that you were presenting the other day. It's about if you need to spend some money into, for example, to contract designers, or how do you manage that in DHO? I suppose it's for Reiki that was presenting the other day, the DHO compensation system. And
are you talking about for this group or for villages?
In general, not the DHO, the system that you are using right now in Haifa. If you need to spend some money outside of the organization, how do you manage that? I don't know, servers.
Oh yeah, so that's all done on like an individual basis. So for example, I pay for the website. I'll pay out of pocket and then just claim compensation from the due.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can actually I can show you this right here on the screen, how that looks like, Arturo. And then we can talk about quests too, the way we currently implemented that. So the basic functions here are the contributions and the roles and assignments for roles. So talking about the contributions for costs that are coming up inside Haifa. So here's an example. So Alex is responsible for the Global Passport team, and he has hosting costs, right? Every month that he needs to pay for. So what he does is he creates a contribution request. That's what it's called. Contribution request for hosting costs. In this case, he was asking for 1,209 HUSD, right? So HUSD is our token for the US dollar equivalent. And we vote on this, right? So we see, oh, Alex has new hosting costs. We know this is coming up every month. And it's a quick check. Yes, go ahead with paying those costs. And that's a simple way to collectively decide on any expenses that is happening inside Haifa in this case, right? So I can see the same scenario happening for a village, right? Or even if you fractal it down, for the infrastructure costs within a village, there may be a hub for that, and they have their own costs, and you can announce them here and have the members decide on moving ahead or not. That's this, and you can see what the other types of contributions here, like bridge contributions and contributions that cover quests, right? So here's one. Kobe is announcing an Earth Day quest, part 1 of 1. So this is how we actually break quests down into multiple stages right now. So there's a 0 of 1 and then 1 of 1. 0 of 1 is the quest that says, I'm going to do something. Are you okay with that? And here's going to be the cost for that quest, or the reward I want to claim at the end of the quest. And then you come back with a 1 of 1 to say, okay, you guys all agreed that we were running the quest, and now I'm going to claim the rewards for that. So in that case, he was claiming 1,400 HUSD and 2,800 HVoice. And you can see here in that proposal what the objectives were of that quest, right? So we spell that out. We have the system of OKRs, so objectives and key results. So in the key results, you can specify even more granularly what you did to complete the quest, right? So all of us can read this, and there's some supporting documentation too, right? If you want to provide even more detail on what Kobe did on this Earth Day quest. Then you can vote on it, right? You can say yes, no, or abstain. And that's where we currently are. There are plans now to bring quests into sort of multi-stage and multi-people engagements. So this is not only one person, building a quest, but it could be a team, right? It could be a group of people, and anybody who is interested could join that quest, right? And then built into this quest feature, we also want to add the co-evaluation. So that's a type of contribution accounting system where you actually say at the end of the quest, yep, Kobe did 80% of the work, Reiki did 20% of the work. Do we agree with that? Yes, no, fine. And then we can pay out everybody according to this contribution schedule that you put together. So there are some features coming. We haven't implemented those quest features yet, because right now we're still doing that with contributions. And that's the most flexible part for us to say, contributions can be bridges, can be regular cost expenses, right? Can be quests, can be policies even. You see this one here from Reiki on launching on Uniswap. Here we go, right? There's no cost associated, obviously, right? Or here, one HVoice, okay? I'm claiming 1 voice. You can decide, right? Is that a right policy for, so in this case, for the village too, right? Villages have policies. So you want to decide on, you just put it here into the system as a contribution. People can respond to that, and then they vote on this. And then once it's passed, then you have what we call these agreements here, right? So this is when you say, yep, that's passed, we all agreed, based on our voting schema, right? So there's also flexibility in how you vote, of course. I mean, this is a huge area of what governance really means within the context of an organization or a village. But for our case, it's what we call 80-20 voting. So that's 80% unity and 20% quorum. So participation rate needs to be at 20%. But other situation, other types of projects might have different ways of deciding on the quote. There's flexibility and how long you're going to show this. But I'll stop here. I think this is already too much I wanted to show. Right? Just give you a glimpse of what that could look like in a village context too, right?
Well, we have about 10 minutes left, so maybe we could start there's 2 more agenda items I just wanted to touch on real quick. So the second one, let me share my screen, and this is shared in the chat too, if you want to jump into it. So this is what we went over last week. So people who are planning on taking up a role, like Sasha, you're doing incredible stuff. Make sure you put more than 0 here, because I know you're doing more than 0 based on everything I just saw today.
Thank you.
Last time I checked, I wasn't able to edit, by the way. I don't know.
Can you guys all try to get in now? Like the sharing privilege is anyone with the link can edit. So I don't know how to do it more than that. But if you still can't, then just send me your email real quick in here, and I'll just manually add you to it.
No, it's not access to the doc. It's cells.
Yeah, the part of the document, it's protected, like protected range, probably. You have it.
Yeah, I don't know how to. All right, I'll try to figure that out.
It says protect range, maybe.
Huh? It says protect range, but.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh. Can edit.
But who can edit?
All right, well, let's just make a copy of this and we'll try again then. But either way, I'll share this in the Discord. And if you are intending and contributing, what we want to put next to this is your intended contribution times. And what we'll do is we'll go back and actually retrofit it. May is kind of over, so actually put what actually happened in May, but then you can look forward and project what you plan on contributing in June and July, and how you plan on, like how you want to, which is your contribution type, and the way you're actually going to be taking on. So that we can look at this Excel sheet and very quickly see, who's on the core team, what are people doing, how much are we expecting out of them, and we can start building our team this way. This is how we'll start doing our contribution accounting. So yeah, any questions about this? My question is, I don't know how to unprotect ranges, so I've added some other people as editors to the document. So if you guys know how to unprotect those ranges, then yeah, feel free to do that. Actually, I can make Sam the owner if you know how to do Excel stuff. So just maybe the owner, giving up ownership.
I don't have too much experience with the protected ranges. But
never mind, it won't even let me give you the ownership. Yeah, anyway, weird Excel stuff. Yeah, but any questions about this? Nope, straightforward. Cool.
Should we just try and
Yeah.
fill it? Oh.
Yeah, I have a little question. Just if maybe we have to approve tasks or review tasks between each other, because, for example, I could start to do a task, but maybe it doesn't feel interesting for the rest of the group, and it would be. So maybe we can do an Excel with tasks, and we can kind of vote or align ourselves.
Yeah, I think that would be the intention of this call. As we come together here, you can speak to what tasks you're wanting to take on, and this would be the space to be like, yep, that totally makes sense. It's in line with what we're doing. Generally, we might have a due to actually vote on those tasks that people are proposing, but we don't have that yet. So super unofficial right now. Cool. All right, then there was a third piece, which was on the legal structure. I'm going to bring somebody into the Discord who's been working on this, but I just wanted to share this model. It's pretty easy. What they've been doing is there's essentially trusts, all different types, but it's the same type of vehicle in every country that exists. What they've been doing is that the trust will technically own all the land and all the assets, And then the DAO is what governs it and has the equity model. So trusts don't have equity in them, so there's no legal entity now that owns, the land or the buildings on the land. The trust kind of holds all that. And then under the laws of the trust, it says they're just going to follow whatever the DAO says. So that for all intents and purposes, the do or the DAO, whatever we're calling these things, is technically what's controlling all the value in that village. So that was like 5 years of research kind of went into that. That was the best model that we came up with. That was the most simple and the cleanest. So I just wanted to share that piece, that if we're looking at legal entities, it might make sense for each village to set up a trust in the country they're setting up in, then give all of their assets to that trust, and then the do is just what governs the assets from that point forward.
Yeah, trusts don't exist in Portugal, unfortunately. That's why we're
Is
having
there a
so
trust
much.
equivalent in Portugal?
No.
No, we don't have property. It's really tricky, and we don't have a trust legal figure. So we have to find our ways through to build a legal container that represents a trust, but where there's not. So there's a lot of challenges in doing that, including the governance of the trust, which is really problematic. But it's one of the things that many organizations are interested in, and we could join forces in defining what that means, although it might look different depending on what we are building around, because again, property has different legal setups in Portugal. So if it's for land, could be one thing. If it's for a building, could be another thing. So we need to pay attention to those kind of details.
Got it. Well, that's unfortunate.
But there, we have Terra Agora, which is already a SEEDS partner that did a lot of work in establishing the legal frameworks for land. And I think we can learn a lot from what they researched already in terms of their own constitution, and then we can pick whatever we like from there. There's a lot of legal thought behind. So I can page you some to bring that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We looked at that document.
it's just a long process. I think they're still like 3-4 years far from like really being able to hold
There's
land.
a lot still unfolding there if you talk to Ivan. Yeah,
Exactly.
But as for for the legal structure for the village, I mean, yeah. So if there's a do, that's organizational unit instead of the opco for the village. I guess now that can be easy since it's regulated, and for example in Wyoming, like you showed last time. And for example, OASA is already incorporated in Wyoming, so that means that we could directly turn it into a do, I guess.
Here we go.
One step ahead. Nice. All right, well, we're about 3 minutes. So what we can do is just like a real quick few word checkout and pass it. Or anything else you want to cover real quick. So that'll be my checkout. Love you all, and I'll pass it to Paolo.
well, great call as always. I like to see the materialization of this in the visual of the tool. So Alexander, thank you for that work. Super excited. So I'll pass it to Martin.
Yeah, materialization would also be the dream. So I'm looking forward to see these things being built and contributing to it. Pass it to Arturo.
I think the booking system looks amazing, and the purpose booking, it's really a cool concept, and it's super nice to see it here exposed. And yeah, I just pass it to Joaquim.
Thank you, Arturo. Yeah, I love it. I recognize we're still sort of in the divergence stage here, right? So let a lot of ideas come out of this before we get into sort of the convergence phase, right? Where now let's really focus on what do you want to implement on the UI, what do you want to see there. So I think it's good to be in that stage for a while. I mean, just the difference between last meeting and this meeting is enormous, right? What else came up and what's possible now? So let's open up that possibility space for now, and then set the limits and set the constraints later on in the next stages here. So that was a good call. Thank you. Over to you, Sasha.
Thank you guys so much for all your kind words. I'm really excited to work on this. And I can't agree more with Joachim about the open space for possibilities, because then there's so much can come out of humans thinking together and unexpected stuff. So that's really amazing. Thank you guys. And I'll pass it to Dawn.
Hi. This was, as compared to last week, the learning curve on today was massive. I mean, I'm hardly awake and I feel like I'm drinking from the fire hose. So thanks for today. I find the user interface is fantastic. And I haven't seen other parts of it, but the idea of leading with purpose, I think, is such a great aspiration. So I'm getting a sense of what that aspiration is now, and looking forward to learning more. So thank you for sharing. Who hasn't spoken? Paulo?
I was already, so Augusto, I think. Perhaps.
Martin?
I mean, this is amazing, super exciting. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see how I can help out. But yeah, it is super exciting. So thanks for letting me listen in.
I can go. Yeah, I think it's a great idea to be open to all the possibilities. And I'm thinking maybe we can have a process. Maybe we can start describing a process, or like Arturo said, maybe have like an Excel sheet with all the different flows or whatever, and then we can have for each step. Like first step is opening up, exploring all the possibilities, and then like finding like the UX for it and so on. And then we can like maybe assign it to different people and so on as we move it further. I think that would be like an amazing flow for building this interface. So maybe for next meeting, I'll try and think a bit about that and also work with Sasha.
I just joined too. Yeah, great job, Sasha. Amazing. Really nice to see your work. And I know that, yeah, you've been sending throughout the week some things, and I didn't really dive deep into it, but really amazing job. I think the word of the day, it's purpose, either in a book with purpose or just the purpose that aligns us all here, because it's really amazing to see what we can do together in just 1 month. And I guess if we keep that spirit up, we can get that village in the box sooner than we think. So yeah, pass it to Martin. Have you said a word? Check out the word? No.
I was already, so I think Vishal.
Fish, yeah.
Fish.
So my word would be exploration. I'm really excited to explore, what the communities here are looking for in the villages. And yeah, things looking really good. I like the screen so far, and already my brain's thinking up a lot of possibilities. And so, yeah, excited to get this moving further.
Okay. Was that everybody?
Just you.
Yep, awesome. Village in the box is a village in the bag. Anyway, peace and love, y'all. That's the end, and I'll see you all throughout the week and next week.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Oh.